following module is going to offer you a few options on how to plan out your weeks, remember your upcoming assignments, and how to utilize the time in your day. But first, take a moment to think about what methods you are already using. It's time to get organized. I cannot express to you how important it is to take the time, sit down, schedule out your assignments, and as they arise, then you know exactly what you need to do and when you need to do it.
First things first, you probably already know this, but you gotta have a planner. I started having a planner in middle school, and then I got to college and I realized, oh, you can't survive without a planner because there's so many assignments and so many little due dates that the professor will mention at the start of the semester and not mention again till the day it's due. And so the first thing I'm going to show you guys is how I set up my planner at the beginning of the semester. And what I like to do is I like to color code my schedule. I did this back for the first semester, and I do this now as well. So business law is going to be purple. E&L is pink. So even if you don't have this planner, you can at least color code your schedule. So then you're going to print off all your syllabi, or you can just have them up on your phone. For me, I like having it printed out. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to the monthly view for the next semester, so the next 4 months or so, and we are going to write in all of the big tests and projects first. So usually your teacher will have these like bolded. So on Tuesday 6 in business law, I have my first exam. Yeah, law exam 1. And so then you are going to write that in, as I already did. You're going to go back to your color code. And so business law is purple. And so all of my law projects or exams, I'm going to highlight in purple on my monthly spread. And I'm going to do that with all of my classes. So this is economics. So now you can see at a glance, and the reason I color coded it is because when you just looked at a blank calendar with black writing, it's like, oh, okay, that's cool. But when you look at it with the colors, you can see what you need to focus on that month. So for example, February, I have a lot of blue showing up, and I know that's math. I have a lot of math projects in February, so just getting myself ready. But I also have 2 econ exams. Meanwhile, in March, I don't have any econ exams. So I'm like, okay, I need to pay extra attention in February to econ notes, but in March, I'm okay. I just need to get ready for spring. Oh, I forgot one. So that's why I like to color code my classes and put out the big things in your monthly calendar. Then what I do at the beginning of each week, the first week of February, I have a lot due. So I need to go in and be like, okay, Monday, Bible test. Tuesday, econ exam and math project due. Wednesday, law exam. So you can just glance back at your monthly view for the big things, and then when the week comes or 2 weeks before, you can put it, to study or to work on that project, that kind of thing. So that's what I use my monthly spreads for. Now what I'm going to do is for the next 3 weeks, for basically the rest of January, I'm going to write in just my daily homework assignments. I have chapters to read before every class, and so I'm going to write in when that's due, the class date it's due and what it is. So I don't have to keep looking at my syllabi, because these are a lot of papers to keep track of, which classes to keep track of. And what I do in my planner is just so I know what subject it is, I always write the abbreviated, so econ or MTH for math, and then I do a little dash, and then I write the assignment. So I decided to create a little spreadsheet on Google Sheets, which is a free application you guys can use if you have a Google account. And I decided to make a schedule. So I'm going to walk you through that. So here's a screen recording of how I put my schedule together. I did this just to have a physical paper to look at when I get back from class at 9 a.m. and I'm like, okay, what should I do? Should I do YouTube? Should I do homework? I find that having this set schedule really helps me manage my time the best. So I put the time on the left, the days of the week at the top. I put the main chunk of my day, 7 to 9 p.m. That's usually when I'm doing most of my stuff, whatever it may be. And the first thing I did was I put in all my classes. So if you're in high school, you may have to block out a larger time for high school 8 to 3 or whatever. But for college, I recommend putting your college schedule, of course. And then in the mornings at 7 is when I do my devotions. I get ready, I plan my day. And so I even wrote that in. And I'm just adjusting the cells, as you can see, to be able to fit all of my writing. And then at 9 a.m. is about when I get back from class. And so for here, I put this is when I'm going to eat my breakfast, because I just will drink coffee before class. And then I was kind of thinking about what I wanted to do in the morning. I decided that first thing when I get back from class, since I'm kind of in that class mindset, I'm going to do homework, and then after my lunchtime before my second class is when I'm going to switch my brain over to doing work stuff. So I call that podcast, YouTube, other aspects of my personal brand. 11 a.m. is when I put all the meetings in my calls, and I love having that set up because all my suite mates are in class at that time, so I won't be disturbing them. And also I can know whenever someone wants to reach out to me to record, to meet, to call, I tell them 11 a.m. CST, and usually it works for them. And it's just great to always have the same time of my meetings 3 times a week to have that open. So again, like you're seeing, I'm just putting in my day, kind of how I want to lay it out, when I want to get my workouts in. My days differ based on my Monday, Wednesday classes compared to my Tuesday, Thursday classes. So I put in when I work out. I put in when I was going to work on my new project, when I was going to eat. Like I kind of mentioned last semester, I realized that I was wasting too much time figuring out what I was going to do next. Even if it's just 10 minutes, that 10-minute break you're giving yourself, like, okay, should I keep doing homework, or should I go out to lunch? Should I go for a walk? Should I work out now? Little times in between your day when you're trying to figure out what to do next is actually going to add up in the long run. And so I found that by making the schedule and doing the same thing in the same order every day, it is going to help my body get in that routine and help me, get everything done that I need to get done. And here comes the fun part. I changed the fonts, and then I added color coding. So I color coded my classes to be all one color for the cells, and then all of the time I was doing homework the same color, all of my work color, my workouts, my personal time, all of that kind of stuff. Again, Google Sheets is very easy to use. If you haven't used it before, there are other tutorials on YouTube, of course, but just color coding can make it super, super fun to look at and easier for you to understand. Printed out schedule, I put it up here above a school chart and then my mood board. You can also make this your desktop screensaver, something like that, but I just like having it here since we're in a dorm.
This is Google Keep. It's a free note-taking service from Google. As you can see, they're kind of like sticky notes. And this is Google Calendar. It's also free. I use this to mark deadlines, so exams are red, small assignments are pink, big assignments are green, special events are purple, work shifts are yellow if night, and blue if day. On the Google Calendar page, you can open Keep on the side using this icon. And then all the sticky notes that you've made in Keep will appear on the right side. It's organized vertically, and I'll show you how to rearrange them. So what is it really? Well, both of these apps are unrelated, but when you put them together, you get a brief, compact, but effective overview of your schedule and tasks. So technically it is a note-taking service, but what's great about it is that you can also add to-do lists on them. I've been making separate sticky notes for different categories like school, work, personal, and I place these next to the calendar so I can get a good overview of what my month will look like and what tasks and deadlines are looming. To create a to-do list, make a new note and then open it in Keep. You will then have the option to show checkboxes. Once that option is on, you can start writing down tasks. You can also indent tasks that are part of a bigger task. This window is also where you can customize the color of your note. To rearrange them, you can choose to pin the most important category to the top. For me, these are school things. I feel like it serves as a reminder for stuff that's coming in the very near future, like a don't miss this imminent deadline kind of note, even though it might be stated on your calendar already. When those things are done, I just check them off. Then you can hide the checked items. Also, you don't have to use it as a to-do list. You can just jot down quick notes that might be pertinent to the month you're viewing on Google Calendar. Another great thing about using Keep is that you can access them on your computer, phone, or tablet, and they sync seamlessly with each other. It's kind of like a mini or enhanced Google Docs. This way, you can just add tasks and things from your phone if you're on the go, and it'll be there whenever you open these apps on your computer or tablet. If you want to replicate this setup on the iPad, just pull up the Calendar app and then pull up the Keep app on the side into a split screen view. If you don't want too much overwhelming detail with your planning and calendars, then this system might be simple but comprehensive enough for you.
You might be asking, why should I take notes? Well, taking notes improves focus and attention to the details, promotes active learning, and it boosts the comprehension and retention of the material. Even though many professors give you their slides, it's still important to take notes. Oftentimes, the slides are an outline of the information, and the lecture provides even more important information that you will need to learn the material and pass the class. Another resource is your textbook. So now you have 3 sources of information in your lecture, slides, and book. The best way to study and reference this information is to put it all in one place, like in your notes. The first question to ask yourself is, how should I take notes? On paper with a pencil? Or maybe on your computer or iPad? Taking notes on your computer allows you to put down more information because you can type faster than you can write. However, physically writing the notes is more engaging and typically results in better retention of the information. So what's best? Find out whatever's going to work best for you.
First and foremost, gauge each class you're taking early on. Carefully look at the syllabus, pay attention to any study guides or review materials you can get your hands on, and make mental notes about different types of questions you see on early quizzes and tests. Additionally, anytime you hear your professor say something like, "This is important, pay attention," and lecture, that's a cue to take extra careful notes. A lot of my friends in school thought it was a cue to take a nap, but they were wrong. Beyond that, whether you're sitting in class or going through a reading assignment in your textbook, you want to pay special attention to things like big ideas, summaries, overviews, or conclusions, bullet lists, like this one, terms and definitions, and examples. And examples are doubly important, especially in classes where you have to apply concepts and formulas to problems, like in math or physics. You can probably remember times when an example presented in class made perfect sense, but then a later homework problem using the same exact concept completely stumped you. There's a big difference between being able to follow along while someone else solves a problem and having the chops to solve it on your own. But by recording every detail of the examples you see in class, as well as making side notes about why the concepts being used work, you'll have a lot more ammunition to work with while you're tackling those homework problems. Now that we've covered the elements of good, useful notes, let's get into the specifics of how to take them. Now, there are plenty of note-taking systems out there, each with their own pros and cons, but with this video, we're just going to focus on 3: the outline method, the Cornell method, and the mind mapping method. The outline method is probably the simplest one of them all, and it's likely the one you're most familiar with. To use it, you just record the details of the lecture or book you're reading in a bullet list. Each main point will be a top-level bullet, and underneath it, you'll indent further and further as you add more details and specifics. Now, the outline method is great for creating well-organized notes, but because it's so rigid, you can easily end up with a ton of notes that all look the same. So to prevent that from happening, use formatting tricks to make important details stand out when you're reviewing them later on. For example, in these notes I took during an information systems class, you can see that I've got several details written down underneath prototyping. All of them were important enough to write down, but since the professor specifically mentioned that quick development and low cost were the most important aspects of prototyping, I made sure to bold that line. Next, we're going to go over the Cornell method, a time-tested system that involves dividing your paper or a table in your note-taking app into 3 distinct sections: the cue column, the notes column, and the summary column. During a lecture, take your actual notes in the aptly named notes column. Yeah, you'll learn that there's not a whole lot of misdirection when it comes to study skills. Anyway, here you can use any method you want, be it the standard outline method that we just talked about, or something more flexible. At the same time, when you think of questions that weren't answered in the lecture, or that would be great prompts for later review, write them down in the cue column. These questions will come in handy when you're going through your notes in the future, as they'll point you to the most important information and help to frame your thinking. The summary area will remain empty until the lecture is over. Once that time comes, take 2 or 3 minutes to briefly look over the notes you took and the questions you wrote down, and then write a 1 to 2 sentence summary of the biggest ideas that were covered. This serves as an initial review, which helps to consolidate everything that was presented up here and to solidify your understanding while everything is still fresh in your mind. If neither of these 2 methods seems like the right fit for you, you might like the final method we're going to cover, which is mind mapping. Mind maps are diagrams that visually represent the relationships between individual concepts and facts. Like outline style maps, they're very hierarchical, but that's where the similarities end. Outline style notes are linear and read much like normal text, while mind maps look more like trees or spider webs. To create a mind map, you write the main concept smack dab in the middle of the page, and then branch out from there to flesh out the details. This method works really well on paper, but there are also apps like Coggle, which will let you create mind maps on your computer as well. So what's the best method? Well, that's up for you to decide. I recommend trying each one out and making your own tweaks as you go along. Also, remember that not every class will work best with the exact same method. Your history notes are probably going to look pretty different from your math notes.